Hello Moto GP enthusiasts. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Jorge Martín reflected on a demanding Saturday at Silverstone after taking pole and winning the sprint, telling DAZN that the weekend's workload has left him physically and mentally tired. The Aprilia rider praised the package's balance, flagged tire management as the central race issue, and admitted he plans to pause intense training for a few days to recover. Bezzecchi described an emotional Saturday at Silverstone after a hard-fought sprint that left him on the podium despite not being fully recovered from injury. The Aprilia rider admitted the weekend has been physically demanding but said the team's joy and the result made the effort worthwhile. Marquez described a worrying rear tire collapse during the Silverstone sprint that forced him into survival mode and cost him a strong result. The Ducati rider finished ninth after a dramatic drop in rear performance late in the race, a behavior that did not appear during practice and now demands urgent data analysis from the team before the feature race. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Martín described a positive day that exceeded his expectations. He managed the early laps, built a gap and then held on despite rear tire degradation. The sprint win and pole underlined his current form and Aprilia's competitiveness, but Martín was clear that the result came with caveats about tire life and setup for tomorrow. It was a very positive race overall. I didn't think I would win at all. The win is both a confidence boost and a reminder that race management, not just outright speed, will decide Sunday. Martín admitted he feels mentally and physically tired after a relentless summer schedule and said his real break will come next week. He emphasized the importance of short recovery periods, explaining that even though he feels strong, the body needs downtime from constant training. I really need a few days to stop training, because as much as I love it, in the end my body suffers. Top riders increasingly treat micro-rest as part of performance planning. A brief pause can preserve freshness for the decisive races ahead. Martín highlighted a clear tire drop on the soft rear from lap 4 onwards and doubts the soft will be the race option. He expects tomorrow to be a medium tire contest focused on management. Reaching the final laps with usable rubber will be crucial to securing race pace and defending positions. Tomorrow's race will be decided by tire management rather than outright qualifying speed. Teams will balance qualifying aggression with a conservative race plan to protect tire life over Silverstone's long, high-speed sectors. Asked about aerodynamic and setup improvements, Martín credited incremental gains and a mental shift in confidence. He said recent aids have helped rear grip while he's regained front feel, creating a competitive base the team now needs to refine for race consistency. The package we had is very competitive. Perhaps we've improved it a little, and for me, it's working very well. Confidence in the base setup often translates into cleaner laps and better tire management under pressure. Martín expects a tactical Sunday where tire choice, stint management, and small setup tweaks will determine the outcome. He plans to fine-tune the base overnight and prioritize a medium tire strategy that preserves rear life. His physical recovery plan, briefly stepping back from training, aims to ensure he's mentally sharp for the race. A sprint win and pole give Martín strategic flexibility. The challenge is converting that advantage into a controlled race while managing tire degradation. Martín's Saturday at Silverstone combined on-track success with a candid assessment of physical limits and tire concerns. His sprint victory and pole position put him in a strong position, but the weekend will hinge on tire management and whether Aprilia can translate qualifying speed into race durability. Martín's short recovery break could pay dividends in focus and reaction time, helping him defend his lead when the lights go out. Bezzecchi called the sprint very, very difficult, but rewarding. He pushed hard in the closing laps to open a gap after passing Fabio Di Giannantonio and felt the physical toll immediately afterwards. Crossing the line and seeing his team celebrate made the moment special, turning a painful effort into an emotional high. It was very exciting to reach the sprint zone and see everyone on my team happy. Emotion after a podium often reflects more than a single result. For a rider managing recovery, it signals relief that preparation and teamwork paid off under pressure. Bezzecchi admitted he has not been at 100% physically and that qualifying had left him exhausted. He revealed he had never done more than 5 laps in practice previously, and that the long Silverstone track makes time attack efforts especially draining. Despite those limits, he committed to the sprint and adapted his approach lap by lap. Conservative practice programs and careful physiotherapy allowed him to compete without risking further injury. Riders returning from injury often accept shorter stints in practice and rely on pit lane recovery routines to get through race sessions. Bezzecchi said qualifying destroyed him physically and left doubts about his ability to complete the sprint, but targeted work with the team physiotherapist helped him cope. The final laps required a sustained, high-intensity effort that tested his conditioning, yet he managed to maintain pace and secure the podium. After qualifying, I realized I was wrecked. We worked well with the physiotherapist, trying to overcome what we could. Silverstone's length and high average speed magnify fatigue. Riders with limited seat time must balance aggression with energy conservation. Bezzecchi rode pragmatically, start strong, assess position, then decide whether to push or manage. He accepted a degree of uncertainty going into the sprint but chose to be bold when the opportunity arose. Emotion and surprise at his own performance underlined how much the result meant given his restricted preparation. When physical limits constrain outright pace, intelligent positioning and timing of attacks become decisive. Marco Bezzecchi's podium at the sprint is a morale boost for Aprilia and a personal milestone in a weekend defined by recovery and resilience. He will assess how he feels tomorrow morning before committing to the feature race, but Saturday proved he can still compete at the front even when not fully fit. If his condition holds, Bezzecchi could convert momentum into a strong Sunday result. If not, the team will prioritize his long-term recovery over short-term gains. Marquez began the sprint competitive but saw his lap times fall away sharply as the race progressed. By the closing laps, his rear tire had lost so much performance that he was counting laps and riding defensively to avoid a crash. The issue emerged early, around lap 3, and turned a potential top result into a damage limitation exercise. We didn't expect it, and it wasn't foreseeable, but it happened. A sudden tire collapse that wasn't visible in practice is a red flag. Teams will prioritize telemetry comparisons to find the root cause. Marquez reported a dramatic loss of rear grip and a corresponding drop in pace, almost 5 seconds slower in the closing stages compared with his early laps. He described several very close calls, where a crash was narrowly avoided, and ultimately settled for a single point rather than the strong finish his one-lap speed had suggested. Marquez and Ducati are weighing several explanations: an overly aggressive opening stint that overheated the tire, an unexpected temperature swing, or a setup choice that left the rear vulnerable under race conditions. He noted that he had even used a tire from the previous day's time attack, which normally shows drop-off, without warning signs in practice, making the sprint behavior puzzling. Comparing Marquez's data with teammates who experienced less degradation will be the fastest way to isolate whether the issue is rider-specific or systemic. Ducati plans to run a medium rear tire in the feature race, but Marquez cautioned that the compound change alone may not solve the problem. He emphasized the need for a setup that preserves rear life and suggested he may have to alter his riding style to reduce wear if necessary. The team's immediate task is to find a balance between maintaining race pace and protecting the tire over distance. A conservative race plan that prioritizes tire survival could still yield a strong points haul if rivals suffer similar issues. Marquez also lost a potential front-row lap after misreading a flag during qualifying, a small but costly error that compounded the sprint setback. Despite these problems, he stressed that one-lap speed remains intact. The challenge is translating that pace into consistent race performance without destroying the rear tire. Silverstone's long, high-speed sectors magnify tire wear. Teams that find a durable compromise will gain a decisive advantage. Marc Marquez's Silverstone sprint exposed a sudden rear tire vulnerability that Ducati must explain before the feature race. The team will dig into telemetry, tire data and set up differentials overnight, while Marquez prepares to adapt his approach if required. If engineers can stabilize rear behavior and preserve the one-lap speed Marquez still possesses, he can recover ground in the race. If not, tire management will dictate a conservative strategy and limit his ability to fight at the front. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your Moto GP news update. And see you next time!